истории, как речного коллинатора.
This is the fear, you know? This is how it works. Hey, I'm the cinematic witch. I used to be aerophobic, but now I have a bold impulses collection and dream to make this collection wider. And I'm going to tell you how I fight the fear of flying. This video is almost a documentary, starting with an uncontrollable, terrible fear and ending with me almost enjoying the flight. This video consists of tips, life hacks, and things that helped me or didn't help me. But if you have an uncontrollable panic or severe aerophobia, consider visiting a specialist, as I actually did as well. So let's take off. I traveled a lot with my family in my childhood, but after a long gap, I realized that I was afraid to board a plane. This was the same moment I was diagnosed with depression and panic disorder, so not only I was afraid to fly, but also experienced regular panic attacks at random moments. During this year, I had 3 successful flights and a failed one. I tried everything from a flight simulator to various breathing techniques. And now, the 3 versions of myself in various moments in time will tell you how to deal with aerophobia depending on how feared you are. The main thing that actually helps me every time is being childish. I think that the best description of this approach I gave almost a year ago, and here is how it sounds. Some of the things from my previous flight are still working, like we discussed this with the psychologist, and I realized that I'm using some child pattern. So I'm trying to be a child while like entering the plane and like patting the plane, like hey, hello. I switch off my, kind of rational thing that there are a lot of planes that fall. I just switch this off. I remember that inside I'm a child, and that's great to fly, that's great to see the sky, that's great to eat just and drink on board. And yeah, the best thing is to look for calm people. Additionally, what you can do is to look around and find some calm people who are like sitting. Okay, this is a flight number 100 of mine, and I'm just sitting here chilling. They're usually like sitting very peacefully, and sometimes they take something like a laptop because they fly for work. Usually when you look around and see emotionally stable people, you think that okay, if everyone is calm, then why should I worry? Apart from curing the symptoms, we also have to look inside the fear of death. Because usually when we experience the fear of flying, we experience the fear of death. This was a long process to me to try to overcome this fear of death. Some people, this might be not only the fear of death itself, but also the fear of not living. I've discovered this feeling with a psychologist again on a session when I was telling her that I am really afraid that if the plane crashes, I have a lot of things that I haven't done yet, and this is so sad. But the honest and the bold thing is that we can die any minute, and the plane is just one of the options. And when you get off the plane, that's the same percentage that you'll die as when you are on the plane. I realized that anything can happen on the ground. The same thing that is happening in the air, in the sky, the same thing can happen on the ground, and we can do nothing about that. And that's like, if we fear to fly, we can just as well fear to travel by car or go for a walk, because everything can happen. So I've started to try to experience more in my regular life, especially before the plane. I started to do things that I was afraid of because I realized that I have this fear of death because I'm afraid that I haven't done something useful, something that I always wanted to do. You have to approach this in a philosophical way and try to find this, options to make yourself free in terms of not being afraid to die any minute and enjoy the life that you have right now. This is not something that we can control sometimes. We can't see the whole picture. We are afraid and we can't focus on other things. We focus only on what we fear, on what we feel inside, and all the awful images of a plane crash, and we think, yes, this will happen with us. Actually, I was thinking about various crashes scenarios that could possibly happen, and this was the only thing I was thinking about before the flight. But this is not how it works. Also, what I want to mention is we have to analyze every single thing, every single piece of the news that we've ever read about plane crash, because this is what affects us when we board the plane, when we go to the airport, when we think of a plane. We think of all this media coverage about plane crashes. And we need to know, firstly, that every single news on this topic is so loud, because this doesn't happen often. Car accidents happen every day, and it's impossible to cover all of them. But a plane crash is a rare thing, and that's why it's a very good resource for social media. It's the typical advice to everyone who is experiencing aerophobia, like think about that cars are more dangerous, blah blah blah, but you have to see it for yourself. You have to compare it for yourself. Like sit and do research about all the car accidents and all the plane crashes. Probably you read some articles when you were younger or when you were a child, and they affected you in a different way. Read it from an adult position, that read it even if it scares you, and then try to analyze what scares you the most in all of it. And every time when you feel like you are anxious after reading something like that, try to control this behavior, to monitor this behavior, not to control it. That's the best word. About various random things. For example, I let myself cry, and again, this is how I described it almost a year ago. Second thing that I've discovered is that if you really, really want to cry, you can cry. So because I think that most of the fear of mine came from me not letting myself cry, because I was thinking I won't start it before I board on the plane. But this time I was crying on the plane in the beginning of the takeoff, just during the flight, on when we were landing, all the stuff. But I also cried before, and this helped a bit. But I don't think that this is a crucial thing, but something of it. When I was flying this time to Yerevan in Armenia, we were above the mountains and the wind was crazy. Sometimes the plane was shaking from one side to another, and this was so scary. First 2 times I was really scared, but the third time I've discovered a new thing that helped me. When the plane gets into the turbulence, I try to merge with it. I try to be a plane that isn't the turbulence, and I don't feel afraid in this moment. This is a boarding pass to the previous flight of mine, which went pretty well. And this is a material thing of a good experience of flying, which I decided to save. Even though we have this and then. In this video, I've showed a ticket which was really, really new and clean. I had just one spot on it, but right now, this is the first boarding pass which I had when I boarded the first plane when fighting aerophobia. And look at that, it looks really, really crazy, but it's so beautiful. This is the trophies of mine, and I recommend you to do the same and collect every single boarding pass you have of your successful flight. This will tell your brain, see how many times you did this. This time you can do this as well. When I board a plane, I look around and I see that the plane is a big thing. Really a huge thing. This is my house in the sky. So this is something that protects me from cold temperatures outside, from wind, from clouds. So I'm safe here. This is the safest place in the air. And I think also that, for example, when I'm in the house also protects me from the wind, but when I'm in the house, I'm not exactly safe all the time, as well as on the plane. If you can afford it, business class is great. My previous flight was in business class, and that's great, firstly, because you feel that you're circled with attention, the flight crew is always present, and you see their faces, you see that they are calm. Also, I've enjoyed that there is a screen with the route, that I know where I'm flying and how much time is left till our destination. Dividing the flight into sections is something that I've started doing from the beginning, from the first flight. Divide the route into little parts. For example, like takeoff is about 20 minutes. So you're like 20 minutes of the whole flight. I had a 2-hour flight, so 20 minutes of it is already a takeoff. And this takeoff is unpleasant for me, so this is the hardest part for me, and also like turbulence parts when the plane is shaking. But actually a takeoff and turbulence, I know that like the first part is 20 minutes of the beginning of the flight. I can cry, I can be mad, I can be scared. And then I have, like, for example, 30 minutes I will read, 30 minutes I will do some Italian words, 30 minutes I will talk to someone, 30 minutes, etc., etc. So it depends on your flight. This helps because you focus on a little pause and a little period of time, and you're trying to entertain yourself. But it's important to, firstly, think of it on the ground, so what you could take with you into the air, so you can just draw or do some puzzles or something like that, I don't know. And then this the second thing is it should really entertain you, so you should be in the process. And third thing is that these parts should be really small, even if it's like 9-hour flight. Just try to like take 1 hour and divide it in little parts and just go step by step. And I also just put a milestone when I know that we have some food approaching, and I think like take off, then about 15 minutes and they start to serve drinks and food, and I'm thinking of food, of drinks, what I will take. This time I took sparkling water with lemon. Flight simulator is a great thing. I think that this was my best decision ever, even though after that I had a failed flight. Step by step, this information that I got from a flight simulator, came into my head, and I changed my view, change my opinion. But you have to find a good coach who is actually a pilot, because in this way he will explain you the panel in a good way, so you won't be afraid of all the buttons that there are. And that's a great experience, but it costs a lot. Thinking about destination didn't really help me the first 2 flights. This time it helped because the view outside was really beautiful. Mountains, rivers, Caspian Sea, that was great. But honestly, even though I was excited, that didn't help to fight aerophobia. But you can try that. Thinking about the place where you're going, probably this will help. I also have this breathing Jacobson technique that I'm leaving in the comments and here. It's a way to prepare your body to the flight, when you gradually strain your muscles and then relax them, so your body trains to be relaxed and to know how the relaxation feels. You can start doing these exercises long before the flight. Gradually come to this ability to just tell your body to relax and feel like everything inside is relaxed. And so this physical relaxation helps your mental relaxation as well. Generally, you can think of flight like a little part of your life, because we think that, okay, one flight which will be endless, but actually it's just one flight which will be less than endless, and this will be a little part of your life, and your life will be filled with a lot of great things around you where you're flying. So I think that this is worth it. What do I feel right now after 3 flights, one of it which was international? I want more. Really, I feel inspired, excited, and most important thing. I feel proud of myself. I think that this is the feeling that you can aim for, feeling proud of yourself, because this is a very hard fear to fight, honestly, because you can't do anything in the air when you are already there, when you're already panicking, and yeah, this is really hard to fight. And if you did this, if you overcame this means that you're a great person and that everything will be cool. This is how I see it. In a few months, I will have at least 2 flights. I'm a bit scared, honestly, I'm a bit scared. But I know that I won't let this awful feeling of flying stop me from seeing this amazing, wonderful world around me. In the end, we all gonna die, and nothing will really matter. And as I said above, we can die from anything, from any cause, in any moment. And the plane is one of the moments that could possibly be more dangerous because we don't really know what the plane actually is if we are not pilots. But this doesn't mean that it's more dangerous than going outside. Why we have to release control, let it go, and breathe and see the world in every color possible. Just look around and look for amazing journeys, and use planes as an instrument, as a transport to get to your dream destination, and and be inspired by the views outside. They are so great. I wish you a safe, nice flight, and don't forget to use all the things that I've mentioned here. Try, experiment, and probably this will entertain you and you will forget about your phobia. Share your aerophobic stories in the comments, and we will try to help each other and talk about everything that fears all of us. Stay cinematic and don't be afraid of witches. Bye!
Будете еще летать?
Возможно. Но было страшно, очень. Очень страшно.